This edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of world-class software like PDF Pen for Mac, PDF Pen Pro for Mac, PDF Pen for iPhone and iPad, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPhone and iPad, Text Expander for Mac, and Text Expander for iPhone and iPad. Learn more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. And by you, our viewers and listeners, through our new Patreon campaign. If you get value from Mac Voices, please consider helping support the show by visiting patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, here we go again. This is Gift Guide Show number 4, and I want to issue a warning to you that this show can be hazardous to your credit rating, because it's sure hazardous to mine. I'll tell you, the previous panels have all recommended some great stuff, and I've ordered way too many things that I'm waiting to have delivered. So maybe this will have the same effect on you, or at least give you some ideas of things to give the tech people on your list. If you're not familiar with the gift guide shows, if this is your first one, welcome. The rules are pretty simple. Our current panel cannot pick anything that our previous panels have picked. They've been provided with lists, and they have to come up with new ideas because it wouldn't make a lot of sense for you just to hear the same old products being recommended. So we get to have a little fun. We occasionally will try to steal each other's picks, which is always a lot of fun. And just in general, have a little bit of holiday cheer as we go on. So let's find out who's here, and then we'll get to the gifts. I'm going to go from top to bottom on my screen just to make it easy on me. First up, Ms. Shelly Brisbin is back. Shelly, welcome. It's good to see you.
Hello, Chuck. Thanks for having me. It's
always a pleasure. I'm so glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to spending my money and helping you spend yours.
Economic stimulation. That's the name of the game,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. Also with us, Mr. Jim Tanous of Tech Review. Jim, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great. It's been a long time, so it's great to see you again, Chuck, and nice to meet you, Shelly.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
It's been so long that you're not even a fellow Pennsylvanian anymore now. You up and left the state.
Yeah, I apologize. We were kind of sticking together. Us sort of, everybody is in all the big cities, and we were those Pennsylvania brothers in arms, but I had to move. So we're now just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. It's, I miss the North, but much better weather down here.
Well, I can kind of understand that. Erie, Pennsylvania is not known for being a garden spot.
Pardon me. Yes, we have wonderful weather for about a month. And yeah. Outside of that, it can be a little rough.
Yeah. 1 out of 12 is not the kind of percentage you're looking for.
Yeah.
We also have a third member with us, or was invited. I'm not sure. He's running a little bit late. So if he shows up, great. We'll add him in. And if not, we're just going to go because we've got 2 stellar guests here. So we're going to have some fun. So I'm going to keep the order the same just to make it easy and I don't get lost trying to figure out who should get the next pick. So, Shelly, that means you get the very first pick of this gift guide.
Yay. Well, I thought that the easiest way to make that happen was to choose something brand new that I first heard about being released yesterday. And it is a wonderful update to a blogging platform called MarsEdit. And if you have done any blogging on the Mac for any period of time, you might have heard of the great MarsEdit program from Red Sweater Software. They've just come out with a new release that upgrades the look and feel to be more modern, and it has some more sophisticated blogging tools every time. The releases come few and far between on this one, and it may seem a little weird to suggest a piece of software. You can get this in the Mac App Store, or you can get it from the Red Sweater site. It may seem an odd thing to suggest giving a piece of software, but if there's a blogger in your life, they will absolutely appreciate MarsEdit. It's $49.95, and I am a previous MarsEdit user, so I can tell you it's great stuff, but I'm going to run out and get my upgrade really quick. I've heard great things about the update and looking forward to doing a lot of blogging and podcasting with it.
You just stole one of my first picks, Shelly. Darn, you got me.
Well, then I have succeeded in this gift guide. I'm feeling good right now.
You have, because you're right. MarsEdit is something I use to publish every single edition of Mac Voices, to manipulate a number of different websites I'm involved with, and it's a fantastic thing. And I've asked Daniel to come on the show. I've got to figure out his schedule and my schedule, but great pick. Great pick. Yeah, it's this. We've all been waiting for the new edition that he's been working on, and and it was at the top of my list. So good for you. You stole one. Darn. At least you won't cost me money, Shelly, because I plan to buy it anyway. So
right. Well, there you go.
That's one.
And I was starting out with something relatively inexpensive, so I figured even if you needed it, it would still. But maybe we'll work our way up. Who knows what's coming?
That doesn't sound good. Jim, how about your first pick for this gift guide?
Well, I'll switch from software to hardware, and this pick is the Elgato Cam Link. This is a relatively new device. It's about $130. And what it does is converts HDMI into video that your computer can use. Now, that's not new. A lot of devices do that. The thing that's special about Cam Link is while it can do the traditional sort of video capture so that you can do editing in like Final Cut or iMovie, what it does is it can also translate that incoming video signal into a webcam compliant signal that is going to be detected as a webcam by applications like Skype. So webcams have been getting a lot better. The iSight camera built into your Mac is probably very good, but DSLRs, camcorders, they can take your video to the next level. There just wasn't an easy way to get that signal into a webcam compliant format. Boxes like this have existed for a couple years, but they've been very expensive, more than $500. So having the Cam Link come in at about $130, and for a while there, actually, it was on sale for $99. So you might want to kind of check some sales. You could save a few dollars. That's the game changer. And we've been using it here at the office for a couple of projects. It works very well. It works on Mac and Windows. It's plug and play basically on Mac. I don't know if I think it's plug and play on Windows though. You might have to download a driver, but basically just plug it in, connect the HDMI from your camcorder or your DSLR, and then you can get really high quality video through webcam style applications, good background blurring, real sharp visuals, the kind of lens you want to use. So if anybody's doing a lot of video work, this is a really, really interesting and useful gift for them.
Wow. Are you using that now? Because your picture looks great.
I'm not using it now. I'm using a Logitech Brio, which is probably one of the better webcams available. It's a dedicated webcam. I was actually hoping to set that up, but it's already hooked up on one of our test beds, and I didn't want to dismantle everything to bring it over here. But we've played with it, and it's a really cool little gadget.
So I have to ask this question because I've seen things like this before, and one of the things that always pulls me back is that so many of the DSLRs, unless you get up into the really, really expensive ones, they have this strange 30-minute time limit, and then they shut off. And it drives me crazy because, a lot of times you want to shoot something that is longer than 30 minutes if you're capturing, say, a lecture or a presentation or something.
Yeah.
What's your experience with that, and how are you able to work around that, or do you have recommendations for DSLRs that maybe don't have that problem?
Sure. So the reason that happens is because of heat. With the sensor being exposed that long, the heat builds up, and in order to prevent damage to the sensor, the camera's shut down. There are ways around that. If you're using a camera that has that, you can actually modify it. I wouldn't recommend doing it yourself, but there are companies that you can send your camera to them, and what they basically do is install a heat sink on the sensor to keep it cooler longer, and then they override the firmware in the camera to override that automatic shutoff. Not every camera is eligible to do that. I know some of like the Canon Canon 5Ds are. So you have to make sure you have the camera that's eligible, and then you also have to be willing to pay. It's not an inexpensive thing to get that done. Another option is to use a micro 4/3 camera. These have the smaller sensors. We're using right now the Panasonic GH4. It's a bit of an older camera. It was one of the first kind of like cheap 4K video compatible DSLRs, and we did some testing because it doesn't have an automatic shutoff, and we were concerned if we still run it for 3 hours, does it hurt the sensor? So we took one and we took a risk and we ran it overnight, and it was no problem. So that's what we've been using. And you're right, you do want to take that into consideration because like this show is going to be longer than 30 minutes. So if I had used it, you'd lose my video halfway through the show, which is no good. So check that out. Check into I know the Panasonic GH4 works. I know a lot of micro 4/3 cameras don't have that limitation. And if you do have those full frame sensor cameras, just if you're really serious about it, consider having it modified.
I'll ask you if you think about it to send me, if you have any information on the companies that would do that. I'll put that in the show notes for folks, because it might be of something that is of interest if you are that into it. I'm debating as to whether it's cheaper to have the camera modified or just buy a new camera that works with it.
Yeah, I've never done it because I just didn't feel that it was cheaper to just go buy a GH4. But I'll find out what I can about that and get that to you.
Great, thank you. Wow. Okay, right out of the box, you're costing me money.
Huh.
It's just a good pro tip. I mean, just information I can have at my fingertips when I'm chatting with people about taking video with DSLRs, because I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, my first pick, I'm afraid this is going to be low-hanging fruit, but on the other hand, this is the 4th gift guide and nobody's touched it, so I don't think I'm out of line. And that's the Apple Watch Series 3. I got my Series 3 this year. I had been steadily upgrading the models. But the killer feature for me for this watch, I mean, yes, it's faster. Yes, you can make phone calls with it. That's nice. I don't have that turned on because I don't want to pay AT&T any more money than I absolutely have to. The killer feature for me, though, is having Siri have a voice so that when I say something to her, she can say it back. And that's not a small thing when you're using it, say, when you're driving or in a variety of other situations. If I tell it to remind me, tell her it, whatever, to remind me of something, it's great that it's repeated back to me and I don't have to necessarily look down at the watch and monitor it. So, you know, that and the calling feature without having to have a phone with you were the two big things. But I absolutely loved that feature. That, to me, made it well worth the upgrade right there. So if you don't already have the Apple Watch any series, man, it's a great gift because I've given it as gift before this year, and the people that I gave it to, they weren't quite sure they were into a smartwatch. Now they absolutely love it. They don't want to be without it. For the wrist, the notifications on your wrist, all the fitness tracking that it does out of the box, and it seems like Apple's developing that more and more from the health side. So I think this is a terrific gift, and I don't think you can go wrong with it. So there you go. That was a quick round one, but it's different with just 3 of us, but it also leads to a little more discussion of some of the products. So we're into round 2. Shall we? What do you have?
So this is one I'm really surprised nobody picked ahead of time, and it just came out as well. It's the Sonos One. Sonos has had a device called the Play One for a long time, so don't get that confused. And that's being discounted right now, by the way. But the Sonos One is a Play One that has Amazon Echo capability inside of it. And that's really fun because you can tell your Sonos to do things. I'll just say as an aside, because I don't have one of these, but I have existing Sonos equipment in my house. And you can do some voice control of the Sonos gear. And if you create a Sonos account and connect it to your Alexa, your Echo account, pardon me, don't want to trigger anybody. But if you connect it to your account, then you can say things like, hey, lady, play NPR in the bedroom. Because there is a Sonos device in the bedroom that is called Bedroom. And the Sonos One, rather than the Play One, has that built in, and you have more Alexa-friendly capabilities in it than you do in the original one. Although, as I say, if you have other Sonos equipment, you can use it with the Echo. And I've just had a lot of fun ordering my Sonos devices around, as well as my Echo Dots. And I just triggered it. It's back there. You hush.
We just triggered a whole lot of.
I know. I apologize to the world at large.
And
so you're really in with the Sonos system. Like I have one Echo device, and I have a Sonos system for just the main TV. But I'm waiting to see what HomePods look like before I dive in further. I mean, I'm not confident that Siri on the HomePod is going to be as full featured just because of Apple's privacy protections. But if they can put together a competent system, I mean, I really want to get into this whole house audio, but I don't want to go too far until I've seen all the options.
So the funny thing for me is, long before I ever had Sonos, we have speakers in ceilings of various rooms of our house. I have a husband who knows how to drill holes and run wires. So I had some version of a whole house audio system, and I bought a Sonos Connect, which is just a device that can connect to your existing equipment, and you can control it as a Sonos device. You could send streaming or library files out to your existing system. And then there were still a few rooms in my house that didn't have audio, so I bought more Sonos pieces. And the Echo thing was kind of an accident because I had one dot in my house and I happened to have a Sonos box right beside it, and I was, using them separately. And I'm not a home automation completist or even a whole house audio completist, but when I found out that I could make the two of them talk together and that I could actually turn the Sonos on rather than using the Sonos app, I could use the Echo to do it. It's sort of fun and entertaining for me. As far as the HomePods go, I think I'm going to be a Gen 2 person on that because my concern is mostly that Apple has sold it as an audio device, and a fairly expensive one at that, but they haven't really given us what I would like in terms of what their vision for it is. And I'm hoping that it's a full-featured Siri automation supporting device, and I suspect that it will be in Gen 2. But the fact that they haven't been more forthcoming, and frankly, the fact that it isn't shipping right now, leads me to believe that it's probably best to wait.
Yeah.
So, Shelly, you stole another pick.
Oh, Chuck.
I know. None of the other panels have stolen anything. You steal the first two.
All at once, man.
Yeah, I picked up a Sonos One during Black Friday when there were some really good deals on it. And I've honestly I like it, but right now it doesn't control Apple Music. And I'm entrenched in Apple Music. The trouble is I'm entrenched even farther in the Sonos universe. So the ability even right now, even though I can't play Apple Music, to be able to tell it to play, say, like you say, Pandora in the Den or whatever is just wonderful. And from what they're saying, the control of Apple Music is coming. So I'm watchfully waiting. And it was the only caveat that I would put for it because it does the sound is really good. The HomePod thing, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm sure I'll try one because I don't think this necessarily precludes you from trying one. It just means if you have the Sonos ecosystem, this gives you the ability to talk to it, and that's what it is. So, what music service do you use, Shelly?
I'm actually a little bit of a dinosaur. I have a music library on a hard drive. I also use some Pandora and some TuneIn. I don't really use Apple Music. So a lot of my legacy playlists have always loved making playlists. And I realize I can do that with Spotify or Pandora, but I have so many existing ones and I have plenty of hard drive space. So I can control a hard drive based music library that lives on a Linux server as it happens. So I just all kinds of craziness with platforms in my house.
Okay. And the Sonos One will let you pull from your music library?
Yeah, Sonos will do that. You can point the Sonos at multiple music libraries, but you can point it at specifically an iTunes library, which is what this was. And I mean, I have like 35,000 songs in there, so it's a little hard to give up. But I do some streaming as well, but more so for radio programs and things like that, and stations that I like, rather than a library full of music. But that's just personal taste. You can have access to Spotify, Pandora, all sorts of ones you've not heard of, which I think is great that they exist out there. And Apple Music does work on the other Sonos devices, so it's interesting. And it's fairly recently that happened, but it's interesting that it's not on the Sonos One yet. I'm a little puzzled as maybe it's just simply because the logic hasn't been created to allow the Echo to control it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm optimistic. I mean, Sonos has been really good. They sort of, I think, came out of their slumber and said, okay, we've got to get with some of this stuff. And it's been a little slow to roll out, but it's rolled out. And so I think this is a really good pick. And depending on when you buy, I mean, during the holiday season, I don't know if we'll see more deals on the Sonos One or not, but it's a good time to pick it up and dig into the ecosystem. And
well,
Jim,
like I say, the others are seem to be on sale. So if you want to build out a Sonos universe in your house, this is still probably a good time to look at some of the equipment, because the Sonos One is the basic. It's the bottom of the line, and the Sonos 3s and 5s, which are and the sound bars, which are really great speakers. They're trying to get you to buy more of them, so you probably will find some deals.
Yeah. And Jim, I don't know how much of a music snob you are quality-wise, but it's hard for me to believe that you would be dissatisfied with the Sonos system unless you are really a hi-fi person.
No, and it's not just about the audio quality. I just wanted to see how the whole system plays out. Like as Shelly said, what are Apple's plans for HomePod? They advertised when they teased it. They said it's got the microphone, like Sonos does the system where you walk around with your iPhone and it tries to calibrate. From what I understand, the HomePods have the microphone built in, I guess, and they're constantly monitoring the acoustics. So if you move it or something walks in the way, it'll adjust automatically. That's my impression of how they teased it. So I just want to see how that works out in practice. And I just don't want to go too far down one path or the other until I can get a good handle on what the options are.
Yeah. One other thing we probably should just touch on very briefly is that, well, we haven't seen the HomePod, so that's not really fair to say. But given it's an Apple product, you've got to believe that they're going to lock it down very tightly from a privacy standpoint. The Sonos One is an Echo to Amazon Echo device, and so as such, that means you're putting that open microphone in your home. And if that is of a concern, then it's a concern, and you have to just be aware of that, just like it would be with any of the other Amazon Echo products. So I don't know if that concerns either one of you or not. Concerns me a little bit, but not enough that I don't have it. It's just I'm kind of careful where I place the Echoes and the dots and all around my home.
Same. That's kind of the way I've looked at it. Is I don't have one, and I have one in my kitchen. And most of what one hears in my kitchen has to do with something I'm cooking, so I'm, circumspect about that.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos is going to steal those family recipes.
That's right.
It's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to a trade-off between privacy and functionality. I mean, there are, at least under our current frameworks, you can't do certain things when you lock down a system, which is why Siri as a personal assistant is arguably inferior to like Google Now or Alexa, even Cortana. And you just have to someday maybe the technology will come where all of that logic can exist locally, but until then, it's as long as the consumer, I think, understands that trade-off and is able to make a informed choice on that, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, and you make a great point about Siri. That's the thing that so many people seem to overlook. They criticize Siri for not being as widely available as Alexa, and one of the reasons is that it's a more secure platform. So if you don't have any concerns over security, then fine. But because for a long time I didn't, and as time has gone on, not that I'm doing anything nefarious, but I'm starting to appreciate the fact that there are institutions out there that will gather up every single piece of information they can find on you and use it to their benefit, not necessarily to your detriment, but to their benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd like to be compensated if you're going to use my information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Gee, shall we? So that means I've got to change my pick. No, Jim, you're up. I'm sorry, Jim, you're up.
Okay.
Good. I've got more time.
So I'll go with this is the iClever BoostStrip, and we all have these devices now. We've got phones, watches, tablets, game consoles like Nintendo Switch, Kindle e-readers, and if you're like me, your nightstand is just cluttered with devices that need to be charged. And instead of running a power strip on the floor and having all these cables running off the desk, you can get one of these types of devices, which is sort of like just a desktop nightstand charging device or charging center. And this one I like. And all of them are like no-name brand out of China kind of things. But I've used this one for about 8 months now. It's been great. It has 4 USB charging ports, including 2 that are high amperage. It has a little slot so you can prop up your iPad or your iPhone if that's what you want to do. And it also has, there's various models of it, but the one I'm linking to is it's got 3 standard grounded outlets in it. So if you want to plug in, like I like to have a fan on my bedside, I can plug that in. If you have like a CPAP machine, or anything you need power, you can also plug it right in. So it gives you the USB ports and the standard outlets in a real nice complex package with only one cord having to go to the outlet in the wall. And it's cheap. It's $21 right now. If you get that as a gift, I would also recommend get a couple short cables. Anker makes some 1-foot lightning cables for about $9. Get a couple of those as well, maybe some micro USB, USB Type-C, whatever the person you're getting this for, whatever devices they have, because that's the other thing is when you have a nice compact charging center like this, you don't want 6-foot cables all coiled up. So with a couple nice short cables, you can lay all your devices out, plug them in, and it's a nice, neat setup for you on your nightstand.
That is a great pick, because I know I'm not the only person here that has power strips in their bedroom by the nightstand, which is a little crazy, but that's what it amounts to. So this looks like a really good pick, Jim.
And it's cheap. You get that for like a office Christmas gift or something where you have a limit on $20 and you're set.
Mm-hmm. Good pick. Good pick. All right, so my pick for this round. And this is going to be for the folks who have relatively newer Macs, iMacs or MacBook Pros. There's a lot of discussion about, and especially with the MacBook Pros, about needing to plug in legacy equipment and, how many adapters do you need and do you have to carry them around and all that. This is not something you're going to necessarily want to carry around, but you may want to have at your home or your office. And that is the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock. I did a MacVoices briefing on this a little while ago. I absolutely love this because it gives me plenty of USB ports. It gives me Ethernet ports. It gives me microphone and earphone ports. It gives me back all kind of connectivity through one simple little lightning cable. So Thunderbolt cable. So if I plug the Thunderbolt cable into my Mac, occupying one port and one port only, I've got all those other ports. I can even drive another display if I want. It is not cheap, I'll tell you that right now. But on the other hand, if you compare it with buying all the necessary adapters, you start to get in its ballpark. You're not going to get there, but you start to get in its ballpark. And of course, this has the benefit of being able to charge through this dock for your iPad or your iPhones. It's a compact unit. It looks good. There's just nothing bad to say about this. It's a win the whole way around. And of course, from being from OWC, it's been engineered to within an inch of its life. And that makes a big difference, because if there is anything that you have problems with, they are super about tech support and standing behind what they sell. I know there's some third-party docks out there that, frankly, I've never heard of the manufacturers, and they're probably just fine. But if it's me, I'm going to spend a couple extra bucks and go with someone whose reputation I know. So check it out, the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock. Either one of you in the market for something like that?
In theory,
no.
Yeah. I don't have a specific need right now, but it sounds like the kind of thing I would love. And I was going to ask you a question, because you said you're talking about it having a microphone and a headphone port. Do you mean that it has a line in?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
I mean, that's for an audio geek like myself. I know it's a little thing, and I have plenty of other ways of getting line into a Mac. But the idea that you would have a dock that would do all those things, but also, oh, by the way, has a line in, I think you could sell me one of those.
Yeah. I mean, Apple has made choices about, what they put in their machines, and that's fine. I think they're very viable choices. And we could argue that until the cows come home. But, at the end of the day, there need to be ways for specific people that have specific use cases to get all that equipment hooked up to their Mac. And this is one of them, and it's a great option.
Yeah, I reviewed their first generation Thunderbolt dock maybe 5 years ago now. As with all their products, are really well engineered, good solid dock. And that was when Thunderbolt docks were pretty iffy. Like, just the technology was new, and a lot of them, I reviewed probably a half a dozen different docks, and theirs and maybe one or two others were solid, and the rest were iffy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't need one. I don't have a new MacBook. I'm still on a 2014 model, so don't need it there. And but if you've got a MacBook, you got to have something to get your legacy inputs and outputs. So can't go wrong with OWC.
MacVoices is sponsored by Smile at smilesoftware.com, the makers of world-class software for the Mac and iOS. And there are few pieces of software more world-class than Text Expander for Mac. Text Expander puts powerful text expansion in your hands so that you can easily fill in something as simple as your name or something as complex as a chunk of code pretty much anywhere you can enter text. That saves time, and time is money. And if you have a business, Text Expander can be an even more important part of the operation because you can share your snippets across your team, making your message consistent. That means that your customer service, your sales responses, everything can be drawing from the same set of snippets. Text Expander helps with accuracy too. If you have a particular word that you frequently misspell, create a snippet to correct it. If your profession has specialized terminology, and what profession doesn't, you can easily build a list of words that are specific to you, and by using Text Expander, you spell them right every single time. You can even style your snippet text, add images and links, and automatically insert clipboard content into a snippet. The list just keeps growing as Smile adds new capabilities. Now, with Text Expander's Life Hacker option, all your snippets sync to all your devices automatically, so the power of Text Expander is always at your command. And with free app updates, you always have the latest and greatest Smile has to offer. Text Expander is my favorite, most used productivity utility, and I think it should be yours too, because it's so easy to take advantage of its power. If you go to smilesoftware.com right now, you can download a free trial and find out how Text Expander can make you more productive today, this afternoon, minutes after you install it. That's Smile at smilesoftware.com for Text Expander. You won't find a single utility that makes you more productive as fast. Thanks to Smile for their ongoing support of MacVoices. So I think that puts us halfway through. So that means round 3 is coming up. And at this point, I usually kind of warn the panelists that, okay, you've only got 2 more picks, so go over your list and try to pick, the best couple things and see if anybody steals anything. But you just never know. So, shall we? Round 3.
I'm going to try to pick something that I don't think you'll steal, but I don't know, Chuck. Who knows? We'll see. So this is, and it's basically a function of how you like to use your iPad. This is an iPad keyboard case. I'm very picky about keyboards in general and even in keyboard cases. And this is the Logitech Create case for the iPad Pro. It's available for all the iPad sizes. It's your straight up keyboard case with a Mac keyboard. It has a stand so that you can have the iPad in landscape mode, and it leans at a nice 45-degree angle. There's even a little loop in the back for your Apple Pencil or for your stylus. And it is a rugged case. It's not super lightweight, nor is it bulky, nor is it too heavy. If you use an iPad as a computer replacement, or even as I do, it's what I take to meetings at work. I like having something that's got a little heft to it, but also is lightweight for carrying around. And the iPad Create case, which is about $100, the Logitech Create case, which is about $100. It's a backlit keyboard, by the way, I should say. And it's as most portable keyboards are. You're going to have flat keys with not a ton of travel, but not excessively so. So I feel like it's kind of the best of all worlds if you want a keyboard case. If you don't want a keyboard case, well, that's probably not for you. But if you do, and you're not obsessed with the fact that it's going to add a bit of weight to your iPad, then I think it's a good deal. Goodbye.
Yeah, I've tried the Logitech. Friends have had it. I went with the Apple keyboard case and really like that. But you're right. It kind of follows Apple's flat philosophy. It's not backlit, so it just again depends on what kind of things you want to use it for. But so you didn't steal it from me, but that's definitely a good pick.
I'm glad I didn't steal it. I hate to steal all of them.
Yeah,
because she'll get back at me in some way, and that wouldn't be good. So,
well, I'm trying to cost you money with the Thunderbolt dock, shall we say?
I know. Well, then I'm going to have to go get a new Mac, and it'll just be crazy.
Yeah. Jim, round 3.
Okay, so obviously we would all love to receive tech gifts, but we all have people in our lives who may not be so crazy about a tech gift. So here's one. I got it for a number of people last year, and it's probably an unusual pick for this show, but it's a great option. It's the Forté Tea Chest Tasting Assortment, and it's a real nice little gift box of teas, and you get I think 20 or something different varieties. When you open the lid, there's a description of each variety and what it should taste like, how you should brew it. So it's a great gift for somebody who likes tea. It's a great gift for somebody who's never really gotten into teas, because it gives you such a variety of different types of tea. It's $60, so it's a little pricey, but these are high quality teas. And I got it from my mother last year. I got it from my mother-in-law. I got it for a family friend. They all loved it. I got to taste some of them when I was over there for the holidays last year, and I'll probably get it for a couple more people this year too, because it's just a nice, it's a useful gift. They're going to get it. It's a lot of gifts. Sometimes they don't. It's well received and well intended, but it goes in a drawer. This is something they're going to set it out. It's the box is a nice display box, and you're going to use it and you're going to enjoy it. So in that sense, it's a pretty nice gift to get someone who's maybe not so crazy about iPhones and iPads and things like that.
Are you a tea aficionado, Jim, as opposed to all the coffee aficionados we see in the tech world?
Well, I prefer tea over coffee, but I am in no way an aficionado. I like tea any way I can get it. So whether it's a bag of Lipton or some fancy loose leaf, something or other with a special brew or a special heated water and filtered water, it's all good. It's all good for me.
Good. That's not the first food stuff we've had recommended with the panels, but it's always an interesting one. Because there's something about drinks of all kinds that, I don't know, it just fits in the tech world. I don't know if it has something to do with the chemistry of trying to get it exactly the way you want it that appeals to geeks or not, but it seems like it is a common thread no matter what your drink of choice is. So, okay, good. I'm up again already? Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so with Shelly stealing a couple of mine, this is becoming problematic. So I'm going to recommend, if you got an iPhone 10, in my opinion, you need a case, because first of all, it's a lot of money, and second, the design is fantastic for everything except holding on to. If your fingers get just a little bit wet for whatever reason, then the pieces of glass is like a piece of glass, and it's really slippery. So I want to recommend the Spigen Tough Armor iPhone 10 case with kickstand. And to me, this is the defining thing with this case. It's got a little kickstand, not very obtrusive, but it kicks out. And for me, I think a kickstand is one of the most useful things for a phone, because this is not going to do real well in portrait mode, this particular kickstand, but in landscape, which is really the way I tend to use it, because if I'm going to watch video of any kind or something like that, I'm going to want to put it down in landscape mode. And this just props it right up in front of me, so that if I'm eating lunch or if I'm, brewing tea or something, it's there. It's not lying flat on the desk or on the table or whatever. The case itself it's a rubberized material. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's a rubberized. I don't know if you can really see. I'll try. But the cuts in it are very angular, and you would be surprised at how well that seems to fit in your hand and gives you something to hold on to. In the past, I've used ribbed cases and that kind of thing that definitely give you something. This is very smooth, and the problem with the ribs when you get those is they don't go in and out of your pocket very easily. But with this, it goes in and out very, very nicely. Because it's rubberized, you might think it would stick. It doesn't. It does not add, as you can see, it does not add a lot of thickness. Definitely does not add a lot of weight. I'm not about to test the drop protection, but there is definite drop protection here to some degree. I need to find something to tap on. I have not dropped the phone yet, and I'm hoping I don't. But and for $15.99, I've seen some really gorgeous cases out there that are made of burled wood and stone. Still not sure I understand the stone concept with an iPad case or iPhone case. But so if you're not completely hung up on looks, as far as having something super stylish, but are looking for something just pretty functional, it's hard to go wrong with this case, and especially for $15.99. You can have it as a backup to your really stylish case. All right, so that's 3 rounds, and that means that you've got to come down now to the best of your remaining picks, and hope that nobody steals anything from you, shall we? What do you have to start us out the 4th round?
So this is also a drinks one. I thought I would throw in one non-tech one. And being a geek about some forms of beverages as I am about tech, I thought I'd do this. There's a company in Britain called Drinks by the Dram, and they will sell you very small 30 cl bottles of various spirits. And so they sell these in sets and tasting sets. And you could get all kinds, and they're from different areas of Scotland or bourbon. They're just an incredible variety of things you can order. But the thing they do at holiday time is called the Whiskey Advent Calendar. And if you're familiar with an Advent calendar, there is a slot behind each calendar window for the days counting up to Christmas. So that is a total of 25. And what they do with the Whiskey Advent Calendar is they give you a box, and they fill it with little 30 cl tastes of different whiskeys. And so they have a variety of the basic one, because there's like 4 levels now. There used to be the basic one and the premium one, but the basic one, they choose what's in it for you, but you get a mixture of Scotch whiskeys and bourbons and Irish whiskeys. And it's always fun because they will tell you what the list is. But when the one time that I got one of these, I made a point of not looking at the list ahead of time because I wanted to open them up and find out individually what they were. And it's really fun. And if you're a geek like me, what you do is you take these things and you taste them, and you make tasting notes, and you save them, and you will have tried, by the end of this whole thing, 25 different whiskeys that you probably wouldn't otherwise be able to try. Some of them, because it comes from Britain, you occasionally get something that you can't get in the U.S., and even if it is something you get in the U.S., it's probably not something that you've wanted to shell out a lot of money for if you didn't know what it was like. So the Whiskey Advent Calendar in all of its forms is a lot of fun if you're a whiskey geek at all.
I apologize. I cracked up there. It's a great pick and it's a great idea. But as a kid, we had the Advent calendars with a little chocolate in them, and I always like to save them all up for Christmas Eve and then dig out. So I'm thinking, oh boy, Daddy's gonna have a real rough Christmas morning.
Yeah, I noticed Jim kind of did the face palm when you were explaining it, Shelly.
That's probably a unique problem for me. Not.
Well, see, when I was a kid, my mother didn't tell me that Advent calendars were supposed to have chocolate in them. We just had little pictures. And when I found out that chocolate was the way that was normally done, I felt cheated as a child. So I figure now that I'm an adult, I can have the Whiskey Advent calendar. And as long as I pace myself, I'm good. No more than one a day.
Shelly, I have to ask, because given what they are, I would have no idea. What kind of cost are we talking about? Do you have any idea roughly?
Yeah, so the what I call the basic one is $167 plus shipping from various retailers in England will sell it to you. So you can probably get it for under $200 delivered. And then, as I say, they have higher levels that just have more exclusive, better, older whiskeys. There's one that I think that's called the extremely rare, and there's one that's just called the premium, and then you can get ones with nothing but gins or rums or whatever. But so the entry price is a little under $200.
Nice. I like that. I can think of a couple people that would really appreciate that. So good job.
I've been hinting around my house. I really have. I'm like, I know Advent's partly over, but it doesn't mean you can't buy me one. They're still available. Is that subtle enough, do you think? Do you think I might get one?
I think short of throwing someone to the ground and standing on their chest, yeah, that
I might just have to buy it myself.
Well, listen, that's been known to happen with these gift guides. So good. Thank you. I like it. That's really an offbeat pick.
And I didn't steal yours, did I?
No, you didn't. No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Jim, I don't think you can steal mine, but you're welcome to try.
Okay. So my last pick will be some stocking stuffers, something real cheap and cool especially with the timing because we've got The Last Jedi coming out in a week, a little over a week, I guess. So these are, I found these at the store a little while ago. These are Hot Wheels branded not cars though, Star Wars little ships, and they're like $5 a piece. They've got all the different. So I don't have all of them. There's several dozen. Little Millennium Falcon. You've got your TIE Fighter and X-Wing. They've got the ships from the new movies coming out, or like the ones we've seen in the trailers that we're not, we don't have all the details on yet. Classic ships and all that. So real cool. They come with a stand, although you can take it off the stand, and they're very detailed. I don't know if I can get the camera to kind of check that out, but it's they're nicely detailed. Yeah. They're solid, and so like my son will play with them, and they're not going to break. And then I can put them on the stand and kind of display them. And they're $5, like I said. And even like if you can find a Toys R Us that's still in business, I was there the other day, and they're selling them for like $3 on sale. So if you can get in there before they completely clean that place out, you can save a little money there too. So nice, buy a couple, stick them in the stocking of a Star Wars fan in your life, and it's a cool little. It's cool for a kid. It's also cool for a big kid like me, and I can put it on my desk as a little display item.
Right. So, and they're from Hot Wheels.
Yeah, it's the Hot Wheels brand, but and Hot Wheels is selling Star Wars cars, but they're also selling these. There's no wheel or there's nothing nothing auto related about it. They're just little models, and so I don't know what the licensing was there for that Hot Wheels brand, but just check for Hot Wheels, and you'll find them.
That's interesting. I did not know about that, and I can think of at least one or two panel members that would go crazy over theirs. I have to wonder if they know about them. So, Kelly Gamot, if you're out there, did you know about this?
Oh, Kelly, yes.
Yeah, because you may have just cost Kelly a whole lot of money.
Well, that's the beauty of them. They're so cheap that you could buy the whole set, and you're only out like $30 or something.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Jim. That's something new. Okay, so I'm going big on my last pick. For those of you that have been following along with MacVoices this year, and especially in the gift guides, the short story is I've had several unfortunate events happen in my life this year, and it meant that I had to go back and buy some new equipment. I'm specifically referring, in this case, to a lightning strike that hit my house and took out some of my gear. I was not in the market for a new TV until the old one got struck by lightning, and then I suddenly became in the market. And this is something I want to do a MacVoices briefing on, and I just never seem to be able to get around to it. I went and looked at the big screen TVs, and the prices they're so much better than they used to be, but they're still up there, especially if you view yourself as a video snob and want to buy, the blackest of the blacks and all. And I don't watch that much video at home. I mean, I want it to look good, but I don't spend that much time in front of the screen as a critical viewer. It's more a casual thing. So I went a little bit pragmatic and followed at least some of the Wirecutter's advice. And I want to make sure I give you the right model number. I bought a TCL 65C807 TV. A couple things to note here. First of all, this is a 65-inch TV. Second, it is Roku-based, which I was not quite sure I would like. And as it turns out, I'm probably about 99% satisfied with it. And I say 99 because 100 would be a TV that would allow me to bypass Comcast's remote and let me just key in things regularly. And I'm not sure that's possible anymore. So you have to use the Comcast remote to change channels. But the Roku selecting of sources is very easy. The picture is gorgeous. If you put it in the showrooms up against one another, yeah, you can definitely see a difference. Put it in my living room, I can't see a difference. I've watched most of the Star Trek movies on it, and I never sit and think, gee, I wonder if that picture could look better. It absolutely looks gorgeous. The killer part of this deal is, though, that this is a 65-inch TV that is highly recommended by the Wirecutter, highly recommended by me, has all those Roku channels if you're into that, has plenty of HDMI ports if you want to plug in your Apple TV. Right now, I think when I just looked it up on Amazon, right now it's going for $1,099. And frankly, I was able to buy it on sale pre-Black Friday for a whole lot less than that. So shop around on this one. If you value Amazon's return policies and all, great, but you may be able to save a little bit of money locally. But even if you're not in the market for 65-inch, the 55 inches also are just great. All the TCLs are great. So go check them out at your local big box store or whatever. Figure out where you can get your best price. I don't think you will be dissatisfied with it. And it's a little bit bigger physically than some of the things we recommend here, but I was in the market and honestly, I feel like I saved the TV I've had in my sights before I found this one. This saved me about $1,700. So that has gone on to Sonos Ones and all kind of other toys.
I got a TCL TV also from the Wirecutter's recommendation. I had a different need. I wanted a device. I essentially wanted a second screen in my office, but I realized that most of what I wanted a second screen for was to watch video. So I decided to get a Roku-based TV, and I got a TCL. And mine is decidedly low end. It's not even HD, but what I wanted to do was have an inexpensive second screen. So for not much different than the cost of a monitor, mine's a 32-inch Roku-based TV. I have what I need. I can plug a computer into it if I want to. I don't usually do that because of the resolution, but I have access to all the streaming services via Roku. And then there is, I can connect a TV antenna if I want to, although I haven't done that. And it was it was a great value. And I think the Wirecutter was honest when they said, it isn't the best TV in the world. And yours sounds like it's far better, and it's a different market by all means. But mine solved a need with a lot less hassle than it would have been to have a second display connected to this iMac and all that kind of stuff. It was just easier to go out and get, like I say, something that cost about the same as a monitor and have TV and video stuff in my office.
Yeah, the TCLs, I mean, it felt a little weird to be buying a brand name that really you weren't all that familiar with as your main TV. I mean, I would have bought it in a second as a second or third TV, but so there was a little bit of a leap of faith, but I just absolutely have not been dissatisfied with it. Sure, I walk in the big box stores and, you see everything with the saturation turned up and everything set just right, and they look gorgeous. But, I think that's just part of the marketing, and you got to get beyond that, because in your living room, you can make a lot of adjustments. And also for $1,700 savings or more, you can, I think you can compromise a little bit. And
the prices are absolutely insane. It's incredible how low the prices across the board. I mean, when I was a teenager, my family went out and splurged on a 32-inch Sony Vega, and it was like $3,000. And now you can get. I mean, even this model of TV comes in a 75-inch, and it's only like $1,800.
Yeah,
it's incredible. This was the year where 4K went mainstream and the prices got reasonable, and the panels. There's only like 3 or 4 panel makers left. So whether you're buying a high-end Sony or a TCL or one of these other Hisense or these lower-end brands, chances are the panels are coming from the same factory floor. There's more in terms of the color calibration and the backlighting and stuff, but all of these TVs look great when they're well calibrated.
Yeah, and I think it depends on whether you are buying the specs or whether you're a bit more pragmatic and buying the picture. And as geeks, we all tend to look at the specs, no question about it. I know John Martellero on the Mac Observer has been doing a lot of high-end TV research, and I know he's going by specs, and that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm not sitting there watching Star Wars or Star Trek and saying, okay, can I see a flaw in the picture? I'm looking at the entertainment. So
yeah. Well, John's he's a man on a mission. He dives into a topic and you can't stop.
Well, and I have to admit, it's fun to read read his articles and listen to him, because I've learned an awful lot from him about it, and a lot of that does translate down when you go in to the big box stores or to a local vendor. A lot of times more than the salespeople, and they have to go and try to find somebody that can answer your questions. So it makes it it definitely makes a difference. They're not, if you just pay attention to John's articles, nobody's going to blow anything by you. I can tell you that.
That's true. I mean, the one spec you do want to focus on, and it appears you did because this one supports it, is what type of first, does it have HDR support, and what type? So you got HDR10, you've got Dolby Vision, and this upcoming HLG. And if you're an Apple fan and you're getting your HDR content from an Apple TV, you probably want Dolby Vision. A lot of TVs support both, but a lot of TVs also come with just HDR10. So get that Dolby Vision. This one does have it, and you'll be all set for that glorious Apple TV 4K content.
There you go. Take it from the man that reviews tech for a living.
Mm-hmm. It spends a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
Too much money.
Guys, that's a lot of good picks. And Shelly, I'm not really all that upset at you stealing a couple, because that meant they got mentioned, and that was that's the objective here. So to have some fun. I want to make sure we let folks know where they can find you, the other things you do, and definitely contact you on social media if they want to question you about your picks or anything else. Shelly, where can folks find you at this point?
So if people want to question me about anything, they can find me on Twitter at Shelly, SHELLY, and I'll mostly respond. No, I will. And then also, I am almost done with the iOS 11 edition of my book, iOS Access for All, which is a book about accessibility in iOS. And Chuck has been very kind and interviewed me about a few editions of that in the past. And you can find that book at iosaccessbook.com. If you buy the book now, you'll get the iOS 11 version free in a very few weeks.
Okay, and this is an official invitation. When you're ready to talk about it and it's finished, let me know, and we'll have you back on. I appreciate it.
Oh, I will let you know, because as I say, you've always been very kind, and I'm excited about this one. It's good. It's just not quite baked yet.
Okay.
We wanted to wait for 11.2, or who knows, it might be 11.3 by the time I get it finished, but I hope not. I hope it sticks to 11.2.
Well, the thing about accessibility, Shelly, and you've taught me, and a couple others have taught me, that it's not just for those that need accessibility. There's so many features buried in accessibility that can be useful to anyone, that it's a topic that everyone needs to pay attention to.
I'll tell the joke that I always tell, probably on your show. I've said it before, but if you ever see an article that says 10 secret features about your iPhone, guaranteed at least 2 of them will start with go to settings, general accessibility, because the secret features are all in there.
Yep. I'd say probably more like 5 out of 10, but
it depends on how good the article is, but yes.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being here, and happy holidays.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope you get the Advent whiskey calendar.
I do.
Jim, how about you? Now that you've relocated, but at least on the web, we can still find you the same places, I hope.
Yeah, I write. I've got my own site at techreview.com. It's spelled a little differently. It's TEKREVUE.com, where I cover mostly tips and tutorials for Mac and Windows, as well as some gaming stuff. We've got some articles about the new Xbox up there, so check that out. And also, I write for now, and I'm actually sitting in the office of PC Perspective, which is a hardware-based website. So if you want to build a gaming PC, or if you even want to read some performance reviews on the new iPhone, or kind of get a sneak peek of how that Vega graphics card in the new iMac Pro might perform, head over to pcper.com and check that out. And then if you want to ping me directly, I'm on Twitter at MGGJim.
Great. And I have to say, I love Tech Review because it does let me stick my toe in the world of Windows and of some of the things outside the Apple sphere without getting too deep. And what I mean by that is I feel like anything you publish, I probably really should pay attention to. It usually comes in helpful, even though I'm not a Windows person or an Android person or a gamer or any of those. But it's just
glad to hear that. Think of it like the flu shot. You get a little bit of the virus without being completely overridden. So.
Wow, I'm glad I didn't say that. Hey, thanks so much. Happy holidays.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, come back more often.
Anytime. Send me an email. Let me know.
All right.
Always ready to go.
All right, I'll hold you to it. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. I hope you got some ideas of things you would like to get, things you would like to give, or maybe even give yourself, like the Whiskey Advent Calendar and Shelly. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices and join these folks who help keep MacVoices coming to you. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.